Okay, piece of string.
Right, so the first page here is just a reminder from last week. It's got the video showing you why
circumference.
we have this number pi, basically that
you can fit
3.14 lots of the diameter around the circumference.
Like that.
So it's just kind of a bit of a history.
Twice. Three times with, you see there's a little bit left over here. So that's the 3 times, and then that bit there, when it's done precisely, is the 0.1435 and so on.
That's in there. And then we've got 2 examples. We've got an example when we're told the diameter. So we just do pi times the diameter. Remember, if you don't have a pi button on your calculator, use 3.142. And then we've got an example here if we're told the radius. So if we're told the radius, it's the same method, but we first have to double that radius to get the diameter. So if the radius is 4, the diameter must be 8. And then we can do pi times the diameter. So there's 3 lots of questions. These are the standard ones that everyone needs to be able to do. I didn't do the answers for this sheet, and the answers are rounded to 3 decimal places. So if you can round to 3 decimal places, do. Otherwise, if your answer is close enough, that's fine. I'm not testing you on rounding. I'm testing you on your ability to work out the circumference of a circle. So for these ones, all you've got to do is make sure you've got the diameter each time. So these ones, you've already got the diameter, these 4. So it'd just be pi times that diameter. But these 2, you've been given the radius. So make sure you double that length before you times it by pi. And make sure you double this length before you times it by pi. For this one here, these have been left in terms of pi. And it's asked you what the radius must be. So we know that pi times diameter is the circumference. So that means that this number being times by pi is the diameter. So what must the radius be? Same down here. If this is diameter times pi, then what must the radius be? Okay, bear in mind that the radius is half of the diameter. Now, these questions here, it's not that they're harder, it's that they involve more flexibility. It's not just using the formula. You've got to be able to manipulate the formula and reverse it. So we know that pi times diameter is circumference. So it makes sense that circumference divided by pi would be the diameter. If we want the radius, we've then got to half that diameter to get the radius. So here they've told me the circumference is 314. So I'd have to take that circumference, divide it by pi, and that will tell me the diameter. However, we want to find the radius, so that diameter, you need to half it, you need to divide it by 2, and that will tell you the radius. Okay? So take your circumference, divide it by pi, that gives you the diameter, you half that to get the radius. So that's how these will work. These ones here, these 3 are given in terms of pi already. So this number in front of pi is the diameter. So all you need to do is half that number to get the radius. Same down here. All you need to do is half that number to get the radius. And this one here, if there's a bit like algebra, if there's no number in front of the pi symbol, the only time you write no number in is if that number is 1. Okay? Like we don't write 1a, we just write a. So we don't write 1 pi, we just write pi. So the diameter must be 1. On these questions here, we want the perimeter. So the perimeter of these semicircles is this bit of the circumference, so half of the circumference, and then that bit there, added on. Okay? So what you need to do is you need to find the circumference, half it, and that will tell you this semicircle bit. And then you need to add on the diameter here. Okay, for these ones, same thing. Find the circumference and half it, and that tells you this curved bit. And then you need to add on 5.5 and another 5.5 to get the total perimeter. And these aren't going to be for everyone, these questions. These are quite challenging. But for those who need the challenge, the first two questions are just like on the last page. These two ones, we've got a quarter of a circle. So it's very similar to these, but this time you're going to find the circumference and divide it by 4 to get a quarter of it. Okay, so find the circumference, divide it by 4, then add on 9 and 9. Same here. Find the circumference, divide it by 4 to tell you this bit, and then add on the 11.9 and the 11.9. This one here, you've got 3/4 of a circle. So you'd work out the circumference, divide it by 4, times it by 3, and that will tell you what 3/4 is. Dividing by 4 tells you 1/4, timesing that by 3 tells you 3/4. Then you need to add on 2 radiuses here. Now these ones here, these are really high level, because on these ones we've got more difficult fractions that we're working with. Now we know that the degrees in a full circle is 360. So what you've got here is 125 1, 2, 5 out of 360 degrees of a circle. So what you need to do is you need to work out your circumference, and then you need to work out this fraction of the circumference. So there's a few ways you can do that depending on what calculator you've got. But what I'd do if I was doing it is I'd find the circumference, I'd divide it by 360, and that would tell me 1/360th. And then I'd times it by 125. And that will tell me this bit going around here. Okay? But we still need to add on the 8 and the 8 to get the total perimeter. This one works in the same way, but this time we've got 60 out of 360 degrees. So you need to work out the circumference, and then to get this bit here, we want 60 360ths. So take your circumference, and if I was doing it, I'd divide it by 360 and then times it by 60. And then we need to add on our 9 meters and our 9 meters to get the perimeter. Okay, hope that helped.